Live. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is Michael Sky. We are here talking with George Bruno. If you're tuning in from his YouTube channel, Listen My Son, you're very welcome. George, I think to most of our audience here, you need absolutely no introduction. You have quite the following on YouTube. I've been one of those followers for quite a while. We are participating in the Calling All Men Summit. So we're gathering thousands of men from around the world this week to talk about men's issues, the crises that boys are facing, fathers are facing, divorced dads are facing. We're gathering as men. And if you want to join us with all 70 of the men we're interviewing, you go to callingallmensummit.com and enter your name and email, and it's free. If you want to join our Facebook Lives with great men like George, you just come to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Calling All Men Summit. And actually, George, I think you've posted a link in the comments. If people want to join the summit, they can just click on that link. George, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm overcoming some technical difficulties. And it just seems, I don't want to say, I'm not a huge believer in Murphy's Law that, what's it say? Like if things can go wrong, they will go wrong at the most inconvenient moment. And it seems like a lot of times when you try to get things together, audio, video, and logistics, just something like I put on a blue shirt because the best colors on camera are always blue. It's just, from my work, 20 years in commercial acting, blue is phenomenal. So the original blue shirt that I put it on, and then I go and I'm setting up the camera and I had a stain right here. And I'm like, son of a gun. And I'm thinking, and all my other blue shirts were in the laundry. So I'm thinking, all right, so let's try this over again. So it's almost as if anything could have gone wrong today as far as timing, it did. Between the neighbors having a handyman show up and he's like using a jackhammer, breaking up their patio because they're getting a new cement patio. And I'm like, this can't be happening. This is like a joke, right? I'm like, God, is this like you? Like and I'm thinking, and that's why I said I really need a dedicated studio. I know that's keeping. Rich Cooper once told me, he says, George, you got to get out of the house. The whole kitchen table shtick, it ran its course.
Well, I think it's very soothing, a lot of the videos you make. And I think guys I don't know, I speak for myself. I love it when you're just sitting there in the morning and you're quiet and it's dark and you're just stirring your coffee with your chopsticks. I don't quite get why you stir with the chopsticks, but the problem that you're saying is it's not a controllable environment.
It's not, because the sun is in different locations throughout the day. So literally the lighting changes. And then, I have pets, and who the heck knows what makes them tick. They start making noise and knocking things over. And, like I said, the Amazon guy rings the doorbell. It's one of the reasons why I started the Daybreak show and I press record at 5 a.m. in the morning is that it's much more predictable. My life is predictable from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. There's no noise. The trash man isn't coming down the street. Handyman and carpenters are not in the neighborhood yet. The landscapers don't start their weed whackers and leaf blowers, this kind of thing. So I like the idea of doing everything early in the morning. That was the original reason why I started the Daybreak show so early in the morning, because it's such a predictable environment for me technologically. And, I think if I start a studio, it's literally the studio. A lot of people say, well, how are you going to do it? You're going to set up like 2 couches and like a green plant in the back, like a talk show format. And I said, no, it's going to be a kitchen table with a window. It's going to look just like a kitchen.
Yeah, it's I don't know, your simple setup, it gives a really kind of intimate feeling, like you're just sitting down with a buddy in the neighborhood. It definitely
Yeah.
has that homey quality. It's not like
Yeah.
overproduced and
Yeah.
some big show. You just feel like you're talking with your buddy George.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've also, all right, I am going on 8 years in February doing this on YouTube, 8 years now, and made a lot of money, created a pretty big following, all from my Android phone.
Wow.
100%. Even all the videos that I've done, all the editing I've done, all the interviews I've done, everything from my phone and nothing else.
So you need to go create a big, expensive studio that looks like your kitchen, your corner of your kitchen, but it just has no interruptions.
Exactly. So I will be creating a studio that looks. I mean, I have seen studios that look like a booth in a diner. Two guys just drinking coffee, and that seems to work. It's kind of like the minimalist thing. I think what happens is when we start spending a lot of money, we spend too much on the technical aspects, and it's really the message. That's why people watch. That's why people value the data, the message. It's not so much the set and the wardrobe. I mean, the Daybreak show, like, there's one new development. I actually brush my hair before I press record now. For years, I literally rolled out of the sack, shake my head so the beard gets kind of straight, get a cup of coffee and press record. So that way, when people see me in person, when I do live appearances, they're like, wow, you look better in person.
That's the secret, huh? Well, you definitely
That's the secret.
You trimmed up that beard today.
I did.
George, we're going to talk about divorced dads and surviving the holidays. It's often a tough time. Now, just to let everyone know, I interviewed you, and you're over there on our main site today, an in-depth interview about your story and divorce and surviving divorce. We did a training with you about how divorced dads can survive the holidays. That's all part of our summit. But I thought today maybe we could get more of, I don't know, a window into your life. Like what are the holidays? What is the holiday season looking like for you? I see you posting on your on X here your outing to the Polish disco. It looks like a couple of Polish ladies.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, I'm on my 5th Polish girlfriend right now. People say, why do you keep going through them? I go, they keep breaking. So, I say that jokingly, but I had met a nice Polish lady this summer after a breakup, and took some time off, and I was just used to Eastern European. My maternal side of my family is Russian, so I'm used to Eastern European. And Polish and Russian are very similar. The foods are very similar. A lot of the traditions are similar. And a great place to meet a woman is at the Russian store, the Russian supermarket. And I met a gal who's she's about 10 years younger than me. Really nice gal. And she came to this country and worked her way up into management, and is just a really cool gal. And just we went to grab a bite at a place that I usually call Table for One. It's a place that I usually go by myself, because when you get divorced, you're afraid to do things by yourself. Go to the movies, go out to eat. You always feel like you need someone beside you all the time. And as a newly single man 20 years ago, doing things by myself was something that I never thought of. I mean, I go to the gym by myself, but I never thought of taking hikes by myself, going to the movies by myself, going to dinner by myself. You walk into a restaurant and they grab the menus and they say, how many? And I'm like, oh, just one. And the hostess at the restaurant doesn't know what they're like. All of a sudden it's like, does not compute. Table for one. We know not what to do. Table for, and I'm like, I'll take that seat over there, whatever. So you get to the point where you start asking for a table for one. And that has become a theme in my life. And I do a lot of live broadcasts that I call Table for One. And it's helping the newly divorced and separated or broke up man how to survive on his own. You don't need a partner attached to your side all the time. When you're developing your new life, your new world, you literally have to develop a new courage because you're so used to having a partner or somebody to be with. I love going to the movies by myself because there's no distractions. I enjoy exactly what the director of the movie intended for me to experience. I have a great time. When I go out to
There's
eat,
no one
I'm
talking to you during the movie. There's no one saying, "Oh,
exactly.
I don't want to see that movie. Let's see the other movie."
Exactly. So I'll never forget the first time I went to this restaurant and I walked in. They're so used to me saying table for one. She grabbed one menu and I said, table for two. And they're like, ooh, table for two. All right, what do we got here? So that started over the summer and developing a nice social relationship, which has been growing. And she recently invited me to a Polish party at the Polish Club in Philadelphia, which is, I think I might have been the only English speaking person there, or maybe one of two or three people. And just celebrating the end of the meat eating season before Christmas. Now everyone starts their fast of not eating meat on Fridays until Christmas. And it was nice. I had a good time. So learning how to socialize as a newly single man is very difficult because it's so easy just to Netflix, order a pizza. And one of the things that happened to me when I was divorced was I put on a lot of weight. It got to the point where I'd be sitting in my living room with the front door open, and the pizza delivery man would come to the front door. I was too lazy to even get up and answer the front door. I'd say, come on in. I'd say, put it down right there, and he'd put the pizza down and the chicken wings and a 2-liter bottle of Coke, and I'd give him a $10 tip, when he's used to getting, $5, I give him a $10 tip. I was too lazy to get up and go to the front door. I had the pizza guy come in, put it down on the coffee table in front of me while I was watching a movie that night. And divorced, broken up, separated men have a tendency to ignore themselves. They punish themselves. They feel they have no one to look good for anymore. They feel like, well, look, I tried hard in the past and it didn't work out. And they get very self-defeating. And a lot of men do negative things. They drink more, they eat more, they have more carbs, they don't take care of themselves. And it just becomes this self-defeating loop that men get into. And one of the things that I do is help shake men out of that loop, that doom loop that they're in. It's not the end of the world. I tell men, you are alive, you will survive. The book, How to Survive the Loss of a Love, has an accompanying workbook called the How to Survive the Loss of a Love workbook. Imagine that. And the first exercise in the book is to write, it has a sentence and it says, write this sentence down 20 times and has just empty blank lines. I am alive, I will survive. And you're like, well, this is silly. But you write it down. I am alive, I will survive. I am alive, I will survive. And then I've worked with men who are just in that doom loop. And I say, repeat after me. I am alive, I will survive. And the guy looks at me like I looked at that book. And he goes, what? I said, just repeat it after me. He'll say, I am alive.
Where he sings it and does the disco.
Well, I'll tell you what, by the end of the exercise in the coaching session, I'm telling the guy, now yell it at the top of your lungs. And I'm not going to blow your eardrums out, but by the end, the guy is going, I'm alive, I will survive. And he's like Braveheart, you know what I mean? It's like, freedom, that kind of thing. And it's kind of funny how men don't think that they're going to survive. And you have to convince them that they're living. I have to tell men on camera, take your pulse. Your heart is beating. You're alive. You feel dead, but you are alive, my friend. And that is one of the worst things that a man feels when he's broken up, separated, or divorced. He feels dead. He feels like the death process has started. That's why the two rules are: first, do no harm. Secondly, do only good. So what I did my first year of divorce was I eliminated alcohol, because I knew I was going to hit the bottle. I knew it. So I said, no alcohol for the first year. None. Even at my brother's wedding, which was about 6 months after the marital separation, I toasted at my brother's wedding. I toasted at my brother's wedding with a glass of water instead of champagne.
Wow.
I was so serious about not having alcohol, not changing the channels. If you remember the movie Platoon, it was Charlie Sheen, and there was a few other famous actors in it. And Forrest Whitaker, there's a group of men going through a jungle, and they come under fire, and one guy gets shot, and he starts screaming because he's in pain, and his commander comes over to him and puts his hand over his mouth and says, quiet, take the pain, take the pain. So the guy's just like, he's like, no, just breathe, because his screaming would attract more enemy fire. So what he did was he stopped expressing his pain, which was drawing more enemy fire, and listening to the command of his commander, who said, take the pain, take the pain, take the pain. And he expressed his pain through breathing instead of verbalizing and screaming. And that's what we do in separation and divorce. We flail, we go through all kinds of contortions, we draw attention to ourselves. No one really cares about men who are suffering. No one really cares. So the reality is, we're not getting attention with posting our pain online. I tell men all the time, stop bleeding online. Just stop it. Stop bleeding online. No one cares. No one's going to listen. Pay a coach. Talk to a brother. Don't bitch and moan. I even got to the point, I'm not kidding you, Michael, where my parents are still alive, and I would call my mother, because that's what men do. They call their mothers. And one of the things that parents, of course, now I'm a parent of 3, I hurt when my kids hurt. And every time I would tell my mother about my pain, it would cause her pain, because she didn't want to see her firstborn son in pain. She didn't want to see me hurt. She didn't want to hear me cry. And I remember one time calling, because I would call early in the morning, because I wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, and my father answered the phone. He said, hey, what's up? I'm like, nothing, just calling to talk. And he says, my dad said this to me. He says, you know what? He says, why don't you talk to me? He says, your mother's taking this really hard, taking your divorce really hard. And I thought, what? And he says, she's hurting too, as you're hurting. He says, talk to me. Not that my father didn't care, but he didn't internalize it the way my mother did. So This is what I tell men. Know who you can share your pain with. Know who you can share your pain with. And someone who's going to be not judgmental, someone who's going to listen, someone who's not going to offer advice, sometimes just a listening ear. But many times our pain gets internalized by the people who hear it, by the recipient, and they don't know what to do with your pain. Most people don't know what to do with your pain when you're in pain. They have no idea what to do. So that was something that I learned through experience, was know who to share your pain with. One of the things you don't share it with is social media. Don't bleed online.
Yeah, and you're out there and you're exposed, and you just open yourself up to people trying to help you in ways that you don't need, or people criticizing you, or
yes,
and then it's just can just dig at you even more, right? Do you recommend that men who are, I don't know, going through the holidays and they're maybe newly divorced, maybe separated from some of their family or their kids, that they go out and be social. I've got on one screen, I've got you here. On the other screen, I've got your ex account, and I see this video of the Polish social club and everyone dancing.
Yeah.
Would you go to a place like that all by yourself?
Initially, I wouldn't, but I saw the value in it after I did it. There's nothing worse than a man feeling sorry for himself. A lot of times, if you just pick up and do something, your mind will follow after. Sometimes you just have to do it. You have to force yourself to do it. It's like taking a walk or working out. You never come back after a walk saying, damn it, I should not have taken that walk, or I shouldn't have gone to the gym. You always come back, even like you wake up, let's say like you're an early morning workout person, and you go to the gym and you're just like, oh, I'm tired, it's cold out, I don't want to go to the gym, but discipline gets you there. You never come back from the gym saying, gee, I regret going to the gym. No, you think to yourself, I'm glad I did. So you might not feel like going out and socializing initially. That's the last thing on your mind. But when you come back from it, you say to yourself, you know what? That wasn't so bad. That was actually pretty good. I enjoyed myself. It takes a while to do that. Like, for instance, holidays, what I did was I started hiking on the holidays. I'm talking major holidays, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Easter Day, things like that. I would actually go hiking. I would actually go either to the beach or to the mountains, one or the other, alone. Pack a day pack and do a day hike. And I started getting used to that. And now I'm thinking, gosh, this Christmas Day, I know I'm going to have to spend with the girl. I really want to be out in the woods. Maybe she'll go hiking with me, but she probably won't. So I got really used to spending holidays by myself. And I really enjoyed my time. At first, it was like, oh, poor me, here I am alone. And I don't like sympathy invites, because there's a lot of people that will invite you to be part of events or their own personal holidays. And they're just feeling sorry for you. And the worst place, for me, the worst place to be is with another family or with a bunch of friends who invited me because they're like, oh, poor George, he's single, he's newly divorced. And I'm like, ugh. I don't want that. I don't want that.
Online, right? It's just everyone feeling sorry for you or having advice.
Absolutely. Exactly. And the thing is, you have to separate yourself from your emotions for a day or for an afternoon or an evening or something like that. So it takes time to work up to that socialization. It doesn't happen automatically, especially if you were married a long time, especially if you're not particularly social. It's difficult to go out and socialize. It's hard. Yeah. It's a new behavior that you have to practice. You're not going to be good at it at first. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel like everyone's looking at you. You're going to feel like you have a polka dot shirt on and a clown nose or something. It's just one of those things that you're not used to, but it takes practice.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. I still got this video here of you at this Polish club, and I see people dancing, like holding hands, going around in a circle. And Hans and I, we've traveled the world together for a lot of the travels the last 5 years, and we like to find ourselves at weddings, especially like in different cultures. And we attended a Romanian wedding like that. And that's all they do is dance holding hands, and they have different, it's high drama. It's, just a blast. We went there kind of like not really knowing hardly anyone, but by the time you're done, it's different than like a dance in America where it's maybe, just couples are together. It's like there's more of an inclusive element.
It's a community. Yeah, it's like a community dance.
Yeah, and it's somehow it's a more connective space. Do you, so you have a thing for the Polish ladies?
Yes.
Have you ever been over that way? Have you been to Poland? And
Yes,
you have. And do you ever, I don't know, encourage your men on your channel to, seek out European women to kind of get a sense of, hey, could this be a good match for you?
Yeah, somebody accused me last week of being a passport bro, and I'm like, well, that's not my intention. I don't go overseas to meet women. I don't do that because I firmly believe, and my current girlfriend would disagree with me on this one. I say women are women no matter what their zip code is. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There is a female nature that we love. There's certain things about females that we don't love, and I don't think that I think all women are capable of breaking your heart. And I think all men, I don't want to say be guarded, but I will put it this way. You need a semi-permeable heart that allows love to come out and also that allows love to come in. But you don't want to flip the doors open like a barn and just allow anything in. You know, you still have to kind of guard your heart or be selective with who you allow inside your life. But I will tell you that I do encourage men to check out people of different cultures, male and female. I just think that many times, even male guy friends from another part of the world just have a different perspective in life. And I think that's important. If you're dating a woman from somewhere else, you're going to see that she's different than American women. It's just a fact. It's just, she can't not be different. She can't not be different. People are, like, for instance, and I'm not one to hammer my country of America, but many people in Europe will tell me, and especially the quieter countries, Poland, Hungary, and such, they will tell me, like, if they're in a restaurant or a bar, they can always tell who the Americans are. And I'm like, how's that? And they said, yeah, you get that, right? They said, because they're just obnoxious. They signal all the, they don't have like a polite protocol. And hence the phrase, the ugly American, where, like, when I go somewhere, I'm happy. I want to find out what the customs are. I want to fit in. You know, I don't want to wear a sign around my neck that says I'm American. You know, like it or leave it. Kind of, I'm not that kind of guy. And you know, I mean, little things like I didn't know that in some European countries they take off their shoes at the door and they put on slippers. I didn't know that. I wear right now I'm wearing my hiking boots all over my house. Put them on this morning. I'll take them off when I go to bed tonight. But most European homes, there's a mat at the door with shoes, and those shoes get replaced by slippers. And then the slippers get replaced by shoes. And I'll never forget saying, oh, you take off your shoes at the door? Because it seems like something like my mother would say. It was like a punitive thing. Take off your muddy shoes at the door. Don't be dragging that mud through the house. And that would be the only reason why I would take off my shoes at the door, is if my feet were dirty. You know, my shoes were muddy or something like that. But I know in Poland, they don't walk around the house with their shoes on. And, like, here I am, you know, at 59 years old, thinking, wait a minute, you take off your shoes when you come in the door? Oh, yeah, we put on slippers. We don't wear shoes in the house. I'm like, really? Like, I didn't get that. I didn't understand that. So, of course, now I'm years past that, but I get it now, and I see why they do it. So, just little things.
With as meticulously as you trim your beard and make your coffee, and smoke your pipe, I would have thought that you were taking your shoes off at the door kind of guy.
and putting on a silk smoking jacket or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the first time that I danced with an Eastern European woman. I was in Belgium. I was in Brussels. We'd gotten invited to a party by some guy that worked high up in the EU. And there were some amazing Peruvian chefs there. And I think they had only invited Eastern European women. And I asked this woman to dance because the chefs, the Peruvian chefs, were also the musicians, and fabulous musicians. And she just melted into my arms, and it was just like, it was almost heartbreaking just to experience a woman like that.
Yeah.
Because it was quite different than anything I had experienced in America before. So there are some real, Yeah, a woman's a woman's a woman, and there really are some cultural differences. People have been raised different ways, different expectations. There's places where you go in the world where they don't expect a man to be more like a woman. They expect a man to be a man. So
Yes.
it's yeah, yeah. Hans, you
I
want to
mean,
jump in here? You got a question for George?
I would
I
just
was watching last weekend. I was watching men drink vodka and not be fey. I would have been flat on the floor if I drank, like literally. If you don't put your hand over the glass, it gets filled. Like literally, that vodka was just being poured in every glass. As soon as you finish it, they refill it.
At the Polish club?
Yes, and I just kept saying no, thank you, no, thank you, no, thank you. And like I said, I would have been passed out on the floor. These guys are drinking vodka all night long and they're dancing, having a great time, telling jokes. And I'm like, how the heck do they do that? Like, I don't know.
Hans, you got a question for George?
Well, I won a vodka drinking contest with Polish guys, so that's my international experience.
Oh, wow.
I'm very interested to hear your international stories. Michael and I were each been on the road for 15 years, and I work in relationships and seduction. And yes, there's a femininity that's equal across the world, and also there are many cultural differences. And very interesting to hear. I always say also, whenever I'm in the world and someone in a restaurant is loud, I know they are American. And you just said it, and it's true. It's just there's
I have
something
to
there.
concur. One time I was in the countryside. I'm here in Nairobi right now, but I was in this town, Nakuru, and I was in this place where there's no gringos, there's no Americans, there's no white people, and everyone's quiet. And all of a sudden, this one table is just like they're getting really loud, and I'm like, could they be American? Because like everyone but me is black, right? Everyone but me is black. Everyone's quiet except this one table.
Yeah.
I go over, and sure enough, they're American. Yeah, we have that reputation. So George, tell me, what are your holidays gonna look like? Do you get a tree? What are some of your holiday rituals that you take on?
Yeah, one of the things that I've done is one year I'll put up a small tree. The next year I'll take Christmas cards and I tape them to the wall in the shape of a tree, and I'll put presents underneath that. So, and that's what I call like the cat lover's Christmas tree, because if you have like a normal Christmas tree, cats love tearing things down. If something's dangling from a branch, a little ornament, it's going to get broke. It's going to get like kicked around, batted around. You'll find it behind a couch or something like that. So I think, it varies from year to year with me how I decorate. But I definitely like to decorate, no doubt. So, and I do like presents under a tree. For me, it's like a traditional Christmas thing. Of course, in Poland, they have 2 days of Christmas. So it's like double the fun.
What is it like?
And
Boxing Day? Do they do like the Boxing Day thing?
yeah.
Yeah, here in Nairobi, it's not such a big deal. And you can't find like when I was a kid, we grew up and we would go cut down a Christmas tree. We'd go to like out into the woods or one of these Christmas tree farms as a family, and we're singing
Yes.
Christmas carols. Christmas was the best time of year as a kid, and we would actually saw it
Yes.
down, bring it home. There's no Christmas trees out here. There's no winter
Right.
out here. There's no snow out here. So it's I'm definitely missing the States right now because of how we do Christmas, especially where there's
Sure.
snow, it gets cold
Yeah.
and you can light a fire.
Right.
But you're down in Florida. You guys don't have snow and all that either.
Well, my family is in Florida. I am in Philadelphia.
Why did I think you were in Florida?
Because I go to Florida and my family's down there. Yeah.
I noticed we got Father Michael Butler watching the stream. Shout out to him. How
Oh,
do you
excellent.
know?
Good.
Yeah, how do you know the good father?
He's going to have to answer that. I don't remember. I have no idea. Oh, Peg Bell is with us too. Northern Bell. Hi, Peg. Um, I had him on the channel. I don't know how. Maybe it was through the gym. Maybe it was through bodybuilding or something. Maybe it was through the mutual interest of bodybuilding. And he and I are the same age. So guys that are the same age, we tend to kind of compete with one another, so to speak. And I think that, plus he's like a white bearded guy too. So I think, same age, white beard, interested in weightlifting. I think there's a lot of mutual interest in there. Christian orthodoxy, that whole thing. I think there's just a lot of points of commonality amongst us.
So who's got the buffer body right now?
Who's got what?
The buffer body.
Oh, he does. Are you kidding me? He does. Oh, he was recently on stage, and he'll say, I won this, or I lost this, or I didn't do well on this. Let me tell you, bro, the fact that you're even on a stage, Michael Butler, the fact you were even on a stage tells me that you are buffer than anyone in my audience. So, yeah. Plus the fact you've done the work. I saw you go through cutting season, and I just watched you just totally shred your body, and it was a real inspiration. And I make up names for my followers. Like I call September Shred Timber.
Nice.
where we cut. I call October Pectober, where we just work on our chest. I call November Brovember, where one man helps another man. December I call Disarmber. So we have these challenges. January is going to be Carnuary, where we all do carnivore for a month. So and I haven't figured out a name for February yet, but for years now I've been making up names for the month. It's kind of like a funny play on words, but it's sometimes you have to do something a little bit outrageous to engage people, and it might strike a chord with some people, and somebody might say, yeah, man, I started doing Shred Timber 2 years ago with you, and now I lost 60 pounds or something like that. Wow. And we have a lot of fun. With that.
February could be fastuary. I saw you posted a Dana White's fasting video, and then you did that challenge. How did that fasting go?
I lost 8 pounds. My brother Tony, he probably should be on next year. He'll be at this summit. My brother Tony, you would really like my brother. He lost, I think, 16 pounds, man. He's totally shredded. Totally shredded. He's my younger brother. He's 2 years younger, but he's got the body of a guy like 40 years younger than me. And good dude. I am 63.
Wow. Yeah, I gave up on lifting weights in my 20s because I got into it for a couple years. And back then they didn't have all this kind of bro science, and you couldn't all these hacks that they have now. And I was eating so much, spending so much time working out, eating, sleeping to recover. And I was not really bulking up. And I was like, this is useless. I don't have the right body type. But now the last couple of years, I've been going to the gym, but in a smart way. I'm stronger than I've ever been in my life. And I'm surprised. If I knew it could be this simple, I would have been doing it all my life.
Yeah.
What's your workout routine? What do you usually do every week to stay fit?
I don't split the body up. I probably will be doing that after the first of the year. I do a full body workout. I do one set of everything 2 to 3 times a week. I'm not real strict about it. And I do lighter weight, and I don't do full range of motion. I concentrate on time under tension and very focused, concentrated repetitions. So, for instance, a curl for me might be something, you know, I know guys that are doing this in the gym. 1, 2, 3. This is me in the gym. I do a 10 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold it a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'll tell you what, I get a pump and I'm sore as heck after that. And I just do that time under tension thing. And for me, that works because it spares my joints. Because I am the guy that always put another plate on. Always. Put another plate on. Another 5 pounds. Another 10 pounds. I have suffered as a result of that. You know, when you get older and you have an injury, especially a shoulder injury, us guys, we get these shoulder injuries, then you can't do anything for like 2 months. You know, when you're younger, you just ice it. Yeah. When you're younger, you ice it, you take an aspirin or 2 or Tylenol, and you're back in the gym 2 days later. Now, when you strain a joint or hurt a joint, you're not doing that exercise for 2 months.
Yeah.
So I am working out smart now, and I have one of the best. I'm not the biggest I've ever been. I mean, I was much bigger when I was a younger man, but I'm strong, trim, fast. You know, I've been told I have the body of a man half my age, and that wasn't told to me by men. Read between the lines. So, you know, and it works for me. It works for me. I mean, I'm down to, I went from like a 40-inch waist, like your typical middle-aged guy, 40-inch waist, like a man belly and all that stuff, to having a flat stomach and a 33-inch waist, and it just feels great. I call it the lean life. I'm enjoying the lean life because for me, strength and flexibility and longevity are more important to me than size.
Are you, did you ever get into the TRT?
You know, it's funny that you say that. People say to me, "Are you on TRT?" And I say, "No, I'm on ribeye." So
that's what I'm.
But I have considered it, and only have considered it in the past week or two, believe it or not. But I've been watching every video on YouTube that I can about it, because people have been saying to me for the past 2 years, "Are you on TRT?" And I'm like, "Do I look it?" They're like, "Yeah, you do look it." And I'm like, "No, I just take vitamins and I eat well and I exercise. That's all I do." When I talked to my doctor, I said, "Should I go on TRT?" And he looks at my T levels, which are just like normal. They're not low, they're not high. They're just like with what they call within normal limits. And he says, "No, everything looks good." He goes, "I treat symptoms, not numbers." His exact response: "I treat symptoms, not numbers." He goes, "And your numbers don't warrant it." I'm like, okay. And that was end of discussion.
We're interviewing 70 men for this summit, and one of the men we talked to, he's a testosterone expert, and he had all kinds of problems, with his low T, and got on TRT, and then that also kind of messed him up. Ended up getting off it, found a way to have it be normal again. And he said that depending on the man, I can't remember the technical term he said, but men have different lengths something, and depending on that, you need more or less testosterone. So it's not about where do you compare with other men. It's actually what do you need to be normal, to be healthy.
Yeah. So, I mean, my body responds well when I eat high protein, high fat, low carbs. I mean, I can shred, I can build, I feel great, I sleep great. I'm a lean, mean sex machine. I literally have zero issues. And I asked myself, why would I want to be on TRT? And I'm kind of like looking for reasons to want to try it. Like I have one friend that says, just do it for 3 months and see if you respond well. He goes, you like one guy says, it makes effort feel good. About half of the men that I interact with in the men's community, the men's development arena, about half are on TRT. Wow. I think the young men too many younger men are on it. Too many younger men are on it. I was watching Mark Sisson, who was an Ironman competitor, world famous triathlon and Ironman guy. I think Mark is 70. He said he's been on it for 6 years, I believe now. And you know, he's pretty jacked. He looks great. He's the guy who started primalkitchen.com. Really great athlete. And I'm thinking, well, if Mark Sisson is benefiting from it, maybe I would benefit. And literally, I've been thinking this for about 2 weeks now. So, but the next step would be picking out a clinic or finding a doctor that would prescribe the right type. Like, I don't want my balls to shrink. That's like the first thing that happens is your balls shrink. And I'm like, do I really want shrunken balls? You know? and then the like they're like, well, your hair can start to thin. I'm like, I don't give a crap about the hair. I mean, I've shaved that dome so many times. I don't care about the hair loss thing. That matters not to me.
You know, the guy that we interviewed about this, Mark Iron, he's famous for, like, when guys do his program, they get bigger balls. So, and he doesn't do the TRT, but it gets your testosterone up, but it does the opposite of shrink your balls. So that's kind of what he's famous for.
And one of the things I saw, like, if you take, there is a protocol, like, that you also take HCG. I don't even know what that is. I've just been hearing about that for the past week, that kind of mitigates the negative effects of TRT. I don't listen, I'm not talking like an expert. I'm not talking like anyone who knows anything about this topic at all. I really know nothing about it. I've never used any juice of any type. If anything, I've taken creatine and increased my size and strength by 20% in about a 1 month period. Creatine works wonders for me. I respond super well to creatine. When I take creatine every day, it's just amazing. I know if I start a creatine regimen again, I'm probably going to have to buy bigger shirts. I know that. And I'm like, oh, you know, I dropped a size or two and everything, and it feels good. The lean life feels fantastic. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still doing a lot of research. I'm even watching all the I watched all the positive videos about it. Now I'm watching the negative videos. I'm watching all the videos that are titled "Why I Stopped TRT," "Why I Stopped This," "Why I Don't Do That Anymore." So I want to hear both sides before I engage in it, because like my doctor said, I want to treat symptoms, not numbers. You know, guys are telling me, well, your levels should be 800 and above, and I'm like, really? Like what's going to happen when I'm 800 and above? Am I just like I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine.
You're going to stop being the Sultan of Silver, and you're going to become the silverback gorilla. That's what's going to happen.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
George, you mentioned like working out, exercising. It's a great it's great for men to do during the holidays, especially if they're cut off from their kids. And also like getting together with family if that's something that, like, it's not a pity invite, right? But it's a warm invite. You mentioned you have a brother there in Philly. Do you do family for the holidays? Are there rituals that you guys do? And
yeah, I've got. Yeah, good question. I have my baby brother is in the area, and then my middle brother, he's in Florida as well, near my parents, who are in their 80s and still alive and dance and socialize, and you know, and they're doing well. But my brother, who lives near me, he has his family. They kind of do their thing, and he does stuff with his wife's family and that kind of thing. So I end up either doing stuff alone or with friends. This year, I'll probably spend Christmas Day with Margot, and we'll see what happens. We're definitely going to go out New Year's Eve. I was already told I'm going to be doing that. I was told that that I'm going to be going out New Year's Eve. And I am not one to go out and celebrate anymore. I'm just like beyond that. And she's like, what do you mean you're going to stay in the house? What do you like? No, we go out and we celebrate. I'm like, okay. So, so
you seem reluctant.
Yeah, getting used to socializing again after you've been socializing by yourself. Like I tell guys all the time, you know, when we talk about spinning plates and having multiple girlfriends, which I don't know why anyone would want to do. I did that for many, many years, and I was a ladies' man for many, many years. That was my personal maladaptive reaction to separation, divorce, and breakup, is just to go out and, you know, I don't know if I can use certain kind of language here, but just go out and rack up the notch count. And I know I have gray hair and a beard, and people can't imagine me with dark hair and a dark beard, but I was a Don Juan for decades. And I grew up with a father who was a Don Juan. And my brothers and I look at each other and we say, you mean there's actually courses of men teaching other men how to pick up women? Like, we were like scratching our heads going, is that like really? Like, there's men that don't know how to do that? Because I grew up knowing how to work a room. I grew up just picking out a woman at the other end of the room and just going for it. And that was it. But long story short, I tell men all the time, especially like the modern manosphere kind of guys who are taught to spin plates and have a rotation of women, which I can't keep track of women anymore. So that's a good thing, to have one woman. I've said this, that if a woman flakes on you, and about 60% will, just build that into your understanding of women. 6 out of 10 women will flake on you. When I say flake, they'll cancel a date. They will something will happen. Just a little more than half will. Just get used to that, and don't paint with a broad brush and just saying all women are like that. No, about 60% are like that. So I would say if a woman flakes on you, I tell guys all the time, if you're into spinning plates and a woman cancels a date, make sure that you are one of the plates. In other words, don't rush to fill that Friday night. Like if a woman says, I can't make it on Friday night, don't go looking for another date. Don't go looking to fill that spot. Take yourself out to dinner. Go to a movie by yourself. Go for a walk. Read a book. Pour a glass of bourbon. Smoke a pipe. Smoke a cigar. Make sure that it's okay to spin plates as long as you are one of those plates. That way you get a good night's sleep, you still get up early in the morning, and you can still be productive the next day rather than chasing tail all night, which is what most of us do. Most normal guys do. We love our vitamin P, and you like how I said that, vitamin P? We like our vitamin P, and you know, and the things that we do, we will swim shark-infested waters to find a woman. Men do the stupidest things to spend time with a woman. And I'm like, you know what? Do stupid things to spend time with yourself. And guys are like, oh my God, what am I going to do by myself? I'm like, really? Take up pipe smoking. Learn about cigars. Learn about high-end cocktails. You know, start reading some Edgar Allan Poe, some Ernest Hemingway. That's what you need to do. Now, there we go. Now there we go. There is the conversation, right? She says, hello, my king and everyone. Great conversation. That is the woman that I am dating right there. She calls me the king. And I remember one time we were joking around, and I answered her. I go, yes, my queen. And then she started calling me my king. And it's kind of a joking thing. It's different. It's funny. We both say it to each other tongue in cheek. No one's simping or anything like that. And we kind of keep it fun and playful. And it works.
So, George, do you do alcohol for the holidays? Or are we going to see you on the Daybreak show drinking eggnog?
Probably with an evening broadcast, yes. With an evening broadcast. In the mornings, no, I don't. I actually, I don't. I do not pour any bottles until after about 6 o'clock in the evening. So, but in the mornings, it'll always be coffee. But for evening broadcast, a cocktail, sure, of course.
I know. Hans wants to ask you how you got such an amazing beard. He's been trying for years with no luck. But before we get to that question, I just want to invite, everyone on your channel. We're interviewing 70 great men this week, like George, who give a fuck about men, who are showing up for men and men in crisis and divorced dads and fathers and boys. We're facing a lot of difficult times. And so we invite you to come join us. CallingAllMenSummit.com, where you can just click that link in the comments. It's free. It's a gift. Come and hang out with us. We're doing some more live broadcasts as well on the Facebook page, facebook.com/CallingAllMenSummit. And so, George, Hans, maybe I should let you ask. Sorry for throwing you under the bus.
All right. So very serious. How do you keep it? Well, I got some more philosophical, existential questions, but how do you keep your beard hair so straight?
I will tell you, this is, I have a profession and a trade. I was a therapist for 26 years. I have a master's degree in education that has a concentration in counseling and therapy. I practiced that for years. Oh, look, all my friends are showing up today. This is great. Was in practice for years. My last real job was I was clinical director of a psychiatric clinic. But I have the trade, a family trade of cutting hair, which is what I've done for a long time. My mother cuts hair. My father cuts hair. So I studied hair and skin for decades. When I was a younger man, my hair was black. It was as dark as my eyebrows, okay? A lot of people can't even imagine me with dark hair. Sometimes I show pictures of that. But my beard was curly. It was like an afro. I couldn't comb it. I had to pick it out with a pick, like an afro kind of thing. When it turned white, it went straight. It literally went straight. It was no longer, I don't have a curly beard. It's a straight beard. So that led me to the conclusion that the color pigment in my hair was part of the curly structure. When that pigment no longer existed, it was straight. So I don't have that structure anymore. That's it. Plus, I have the graying pattern of my mother and father. So that's how we usually go gray. I mean, I have the exact same graying pattern as my mom. And so that's that. But as far as
moms is just get older. You just have to wait.
Wait a couple of years.
Yeah. I will tell you, the kind of like the progress goes like this. You go salt and pepper, and then you go gray, pewter, a little silverish, a little gunmetal gray, that kind of thing. And then after that gray, it starts to turn white. I actually had a gray beard at one time, and then within a year of my divorce, and I can prove this through pictures, within a year of my divorce, I don't know what the emotional thing is, but literally my beard turned white within 1 year. It was gray, like a pewter.
It's like what happens to the president, right? He's in office 4 years. It turns gray.
Exactly.
Maybe when you're going through divorce,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the story with that. But I
was going to say, Hans, did you have an existential or philosophical question for the man?
I was wondering where you're obviously very alive. The symptoms are pointing at you don't have to use any TRT. But what would you say is your? Have you always felt this enthusiastic, or have you had to work for it? And or what are the secrets to it?
Yeah, great question. I am always energetic during waking hours. Literally, when I do broadcasts at night, my audience will tell you I start talking softer, slower. I'm not as enthusiastic, but during waking hours, I'm pretty alive. And that's without
And you sleep
TRT. Now,
18 hours a day.
what's that?
And you sleep 18 hours a day.
Yeah, right. No, actually, my sleep hours are from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. I try to be in bed by 8. I try. I don't always succeed, but I try to do that. And it's very difficult. And I tell men all the time, people say, I don't know if I can get up that early. I go, that's the easy part. It's going to bed early because, number one, you're a buzzkill for everyone that's around you. If you want to go to bed at 8, think about it. You're the party pooper. Like, who the heck wants to go to bed at 8? That's when life starts. A lot of people. And I'm like, no, for me, life begins at 4 a.m. Like, I get more work done between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. Even before the world wakes up, I've gotten more work done.
Have you always been that way?
I think what happened was when I was married, I realized that as soon as the world wakes up, it demands a lot out of you. And if I want any time to myself, I have to carve out that time. And I started getting up early. I would be at the gym at 5 o'clock, be back at the house by 6, take the baby out of the crib, bring it over to mama, have a little snuggle time, and then I'd be on my way to work. But if I wanted time to myself for reading and working out and just sitting quietly, I had to carve that time out. And the only time for me was before the world wakes up. And I created that habit. Now I need that so bad. I start coming in for a landing at about 7:30. My audience will tell you that when I go live, when I do live broadcasts, I literally just start getting slower and quieter at about 7:30 or so. And you can just tell. You can tell. So it's difficult for me if I go out at night and stay out late, like we did the other night when we went out dancing and such. I got to take a nap. Like in the 70s, we used to call them disco naps. If you're going to go dancing all night, you got to sleep a little bit during the day so you can stay up all night. So I take a disco nap.
A disco nap.
Yeah.
Nice. Hans loves taking naps, so maybe we could start calling those disco naps.
Take a disco nap. That's it.
George, maybe we can kind of start to wind down here. Tell us what you got in store for 2024, and what does the future look like for the men in your universe and for your channel and all of that? Yeah.
I belong to a mastermind group, and they're helping me. There's a guy who's a $250 million man. He's going to help me. He identified me as the $100 million man. And I'm like, I'm still trying to get to my first million. All right. But he identified me as the $100 million man. And this guy loves my voice. He goes, man, you talk like you got 3 testicles. His exact words. And I'm like, that is a great line. I'm going to use that in the future for anyone who has a great voice. And, but he's going to be working with me one-to-one. I believe that growth takes place through mentorship. And I work with a lot of men. I mean, that's what I do for a living. I coach men for a living. But every coach, every therapist, everyone who is a leader needs a leader. I don't do this as some wild, random electron flying around the universe. I am being kind of controlled by a mentor, so to speak, who helps me focus my goals, because with this energy, I can be in a million different directions. So he just kind of helps me kind of focus my energies. So for 2024, and this is what I tell men every year, tell my audiences every year, 2024 is the year that you get unstuck. And everyone is stuck somehow, some way. Everyone needs growth, whether it be mentally, emotionally, physically, weight loss wise, sexually, whatever it is. For me, 2024, if people, I actually think I'm stuck. I think I'm in a holding pattern right now. There's people who know me or say, what, are you kidding me? My God, like, you're the least stuck. Well, that's That's a very, very subjective thing. Being stuck is very subjective. I want to be that $100 million man, but I need to produce $100 million results. And that's how you do that. My $1 million mentor, the first thing he asked me was, he says, do you have $1 million habits? I go, what do you mean? He says, how much money do you need to earn every day to make $1 million? And I'm scratching my head, and he goes, I'm surprised you didn't do the math on that. And I said, how much? And he goes, you need to make $3,000 a day if you want to make $1 million in a 12-month period, because that was my goal. I want to make $1 million in a 12-month period. And then the next question was this. He says, do you have $3,000 a day habits? And again, there was that awkward period of silence. And he says, okay, you don't. And I said, I made $6,000 a day once. And he says, okay, that's what we have to work with you on. So in my personal, so in my personal coaching, I'm working on my $3,000 a day habits. Now, I can't imagine the guy who's calling me the $100 million man. I can't imagine what I have to do to get to that point. But I can tell you what, if Alex Hormozy can do it, I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And you're looking to grow your channel to 1 million as well, right?
I would love to have that gold play button behind me. Now, I reached 100,000 within 1 year, and that was in 2016. I reached 100,000 subscribers in 1 year.
Because you were going viral with the pipe smoking and the beard stuff. Is that right?
It was more of the beard stuff. I started with the beard stuff. Now I'm going to be just starting a new channel, which is I'm taking all my beard content, migrating it over to a new beard-only channel. Yeah. And people say, I want more beard content. And I'm saying, like, what's the matter? 150 beard videos isn't enough for you? What's the matter with you? I mean, how many times can you, like, reheat, leftovers, same. And then people say to me, I want more pipe smoking videos. And I'm like, well, they can't be monetized. I would love to be able to do that, but really? They can't be monetized. Yeah, they can't, because tobacco is considered a vice, and YouTube does not want to promote any vices. So all of my
YouTube itself can be a vice.
Yeah, exactly. Well, YouTube actually demonetized all of my goal was this. When I started the channel in 2016, my goal was to be able to quit full-time work within 18 to 24 months. So I gave myself a 2-year plan to be able to leave having to work full-time, like go to a job. And I did that. I was making over 6 figures alone just with YouTube. That was wonderful. Add to that the affiliate income. That was great. I was going in the direction that I needed to go. Then they demonetized literally about 90% of my channel. Wow. And that's like getting fired from a job for no reason. So at that point, I literally had to go back to work. I work outside the house 2 days a week. I had to go back and work, pay bills. So that kind of took my motivation away for doing media creation. And but I've talked with people who kind of work their way around it, consultants and such, and I'm friends with a lot of high-performing YouTubers and such. So that goal is back online. I need to get to 1 million. It's a vanity metric. Will it do anything for me? Probably just for my ego. That's all. I have a following that I love. My following loves me. I've created a community of like-minded people who want to get unstuck, and that's what I teach. So I will continue with that mission in 2024, and that's what's going on.
Awesome, George. Well, yeah, anyone out there wants to get our other interviews with George, do so at the Calling All Men Summit, where we are, helping men. We're coming together as men and helping us, be the men we want to be as fathers, as brothers, as elders in these times. So, George, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and, bringing us together. And, I'm sure if most of the guys subscribe to your channel they'd just want to give you a big hug and a thanks and a cheers for the holidays. So Thank you.
Well, Michael, I will tell you that being part of the Calling All Men Summit, this is listen, I'm a retreat and conference junkie. I've not only attended, but I've spoken on more stages than any human being I know. I don't know anyone who has been behind more microphones and been on more stages than me. I don't know anyone, and I've been doing it for a long time. I will tell you this. This is the most comprehensive men's gathering I've ever been part of. I have never shared the virtual stage with as many movers and shakers and men that I respect than with the Calling All Men Summit. So hats off to you, man. Seriously, what a job you've done. And it's only going to get bigger and better. And I've referred a lot of people to it. And I just wish you continued success. And if I can help you in any way and be part of your success story, please do not hesitate.
Thank you so much, George. It means a lot. And yeah, we've got a lot of visions for 2024, how this could be bigger, badder, better. And there's a rising men's movement right now. You know, men are coming together and uplifting each other, perhaps like never before. And it's exciting. Yeah. It's an exciting time. So, and you're kind of a godfather in the movement. So very cool. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Michael.